person that you are, companies will give you $1 million. Like, I'm not surprised, and I think there's a lot of people that can be full of shit and be like, yeah, right, okay. No, like legit, how you're connecting, and it's not even just passion now. You know how passion can be like you're trying to convince yourself, right? That's where passion starts. You actually know this now, and it's convincing at a level that people are like, okay, yeah, she's the person to lead and train our people. Let's give her $1 million because she's going to impact our business. No doubt.
How far am I going to be from you when I'm in Clarksville?
Indiana.
Tennessee.
Oh, Clarksville, Tennessee is right across from, what's that? Is it right across from Paducah? It's right down there in that enclave, like Indiana, Illinois, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Probably like 5 hours. It's not close.
Okay, well, we're going to be there next year officially.
Are you really? So what is that? That's a huge base.
Yep.
What is
Fort
it?
Campbell.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah. So you're 4.5, 5 hours. Yeah, you guys will be able to jump up here. That is, the big podcaster Patrick Bet-David, the Valuetainment guy. Have you seen any of his stuff?
I've heard of him, but I haven't watched any of his stuff, no.
I think he was in the 101st. He was stationed there when he was back in the Army and everything.
Well, Dave was stationed there for 5 years,
Is that where he was out of when he was a Ranger and doing all that stuff?
That was where, so 5th group, the SF group he was part of was 5th group, and they're out of Campbell.
Cool. So you guys are going there. You are getting you out of Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Is that gonna be?
His official start date is September 20th, but we will probably be there early to mid-August because Knox is starting Montessori school, which starts at the beginning of, the school year. So we have to be there in time.
Of course he is. For two highly educated, driven, motivated people, of course he's going to be in Montessori school because he's going to be doing probably calculus when he's like 3.5.
Probably. And then when he's 5, he's going to be joining the military because he's going to be the youngest guy in the military ever.
So here's what's good. What you see me, that's not going to be what is on the podcast. So the lighting in the studio is set up for all the cameras over here. You just get to see me this way, but Dave gets to see the real recording. So we get to see you, but then he gets to see me from all the cameras in here. We're trying to figure our shit out. So if my lighting, we just made I have stuff hanging in the ceiling that you don't even see. Is your baby good?
Yeah, I don't really see it too much at all.
Okay. So they're going to edit this stuff. So I have all types of good stuff. So why don't we just jump in? I'm working on this stuff and doing it not as formal and just more conversational all the time. So if you have to like drag him and hold him and feed him, if you have to do that, he's more than welcome on the Necessary Entrepreneur. Because if he's going to be in the military at 5, he needs some of this conversation.
Well, knowing his dad and what his dad does, he's very quickly going to be around it and know of it. So it's going to be a matter of that.
He's got this face like he's just going to hurt people. I'm sorry, he just does. Your son has this face. You think it's lovely. No, it's not. He's like, I'm ready to go kick some ass. I'm sorry. That's what his face looks like. That's just it. So I'm right. And
I mean, he's a badass. I made him.
Does your husband get any credit?
No. I carried his butt in my stomach and I birthed a 10-pound baby. Like, I get 100% of the credit.
Can you get 1%?
1.
All right, Dave. We just found out in the background. Let's say we just found out what it takes to be a part of the 1%. Okay, we're going to make notes about this.
You have to contribute your sperm, and that's it. There's your 1%.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, good. Is it officially? How do you go by your name now? Is it
Michelle
Berman-Mikel?
Berman-Mikel.
Do what? Just Michelle-Mikel. Okay. All right.
No, Michelle Berman-Mikel.
Oh, the Berman part. So do you still have the Berman Media?
That is the company. Yeah, it's going to stay Berman Media.
Okay.
Dave and I, when we got married and after everything kind of ironed out, we thought about changing it to Michael Media, but we decided not to because like my brand was already established.
Okay, awesome. All right, we're going to get rolling. Hey, so what a pleasure it is to have Michelle Berman-Mikel. What an awesome person, a great smile. And in the background, we're going to share about your awesome platform, about Instagram Power Method. And I'm just excited about the conversation. So this is round number 2 that you get to be on the Necessary Entrepreneur podcast. So I'm pumped to sit. We haven't stayed in contact as much over the past year and a half since we met each other. But I am following everything you're doing, the people that we mutually are connected to. It's awesome what's happening. So what I want to do is get into your head in the space that you're in to share with myself, my curiosity, and whether it's 1 or 1,000 or 100,000 of people that will eventually hear this, to just connect with us. Instagram's your thing, but there's so much more about business that I want to have a conversation about too. So Michelle Berman-Mikel, Berman Media, your platform that you are constantly training is Instagram Power Method. I want to hear everything Instagram, but how did you get here?
Man, I'm going to go on a tangent to start because I think that this is something that is very, very top of mind for me right now. So last week, I hosted my 3rd annual VIP Day experience, which is a private 2-day mastermind that I do. It's for 12 people only. So each of these 12 people pay a lot of money to sit in a room with my team and I for 2 days to learn all the things, very high end content conversations, talking business, talking funnels, talking all the things that create the digital footprint that these people are really after. And one of the gentlemen that was in the room actually asked me a question at the very end of what is my 2023 goal for Berman Media and for the Instagram Power Method, as we move into the new year. And two things really stood out to me with the way that I answered. And I didn't even know that was my answer until it was coming out of my mouth. But 2 big things. Number 1 is the state of the mortgage industry and the state of the real estate industry, which are my primary markets, is bad, right? There are a lot of people who are exiting. There are a lot of people who are quitting, doing something that they've been doing for a very long time. We had a lady who has been a client of ours for a year plus, and she has drained all of her savings just to be able to continue paying for us because she understands how important it is, but she hasn't done a single loan in 3 months. And so there's a lot of people in our environment that are failing and a lot of people that are retracting very hard to scrape for pennies and hang on to every dollar that they have while they have it versus spending it to make sure that, they're able to move forward. But Phil Treadwell, a mutual great friend of both of ours, and I had a conversation, and he was there with me as one of my guest speakers. And I said to him, Phil, how am I doing so good right now, despite the fact that the mortgage industry is absolute shit? And he made a comment to me about what I've done over the last 3 years, which is very in line with the first line I said on your podcast several years ago, which was that I just didn't have a back door. I don't have a plan B. I don't have well, it's okay if this doesn't work out, I'll go figure something else out. I don't have that. And so the question is, how have I gotten to the point where I've gotten? How am I doing so well? How is my organization in the middle of negotiating 2 damn near $1 million contracts with people in the mortgage and real estate industry? How are we doing that? And the answer is we don't have any other option. We haven't given ourselves another option. And I think that that was one of them. Listening to myself say it, I was kind of shocked, right? As to how am I doing so good? Well, it's because I have changed who I am, right? It's not about what we're doing necessarily. It's about changing who we are as people to be able to navigate that. And I think that is obviously part of it. And then the second thing that I said to the group of people or the team of people that were there was I said that I want to put faith back into our workplace, right? I want to carry the cross that I have on my arm with pride. And I want to stand on every stage over the next 365 days, proclaiming the fact that I am God's daughter and that, without prayer and without my faith being a huge cornerstone to what I do, the hard days would have been way harder than they were.
So is it to jump in, and I don't want to cut off the tangent because it's a good one. I mean, tangent's not a negative thing. And so I love that when the person asked the question and said, hey, what's 2023 look like for you? Even if you had to think about it because you weren't prepared for the question, the answer was still already in there. So here's the really tough thing that needs to be asked. Is it too late for these people? If they're just now asking the question, because you don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, they got bills to pay though, right? So you just talked you just talked about someone that's, they've drained their savings. They're 3 months in. My experience is, I'd like to snap my fingers and train every agent if they're not having the success that they want. Every real estate agent, every loan officer, like, hey, let me snap my fingers and just have a huge funnel filled up. It doesn't work that way, right? I've seen there's a 3 to 6 month lead time from my experience. I mean, maybe you're going to share with us today how you do that in 30 days. Maybe you can do it in 2 or 3 weeks. But if those people have a drained bank account looking at them in the face, I'm just being real. I'm just being honest. Like, we're sitting here on a couch having a conversation with 10 people that are worried about paying their bills. Is it too late?
Here's what I will tell anybody with that. And the saying I want to put out there, because this is something that really resonates with me, and I have it in many places in my house and in my phone and all of it, is that it's not how I got somewhere. It's who did I become to get somewhere, right? And what that means is, who did Michelle transform into over the last several years to be able to be in the position that we're in right now? Mm-hmm. And I believe, to answer your question, that so many people who we know mutually that are trying to sell real estate or trying to do loans, they already have the systems and processes in place to do more loans, right? Most of them, the good ones do, right? Most of them understand how to go get loans. Most of them understand how to go get business. What they don't understand is that the problem or the issue that's keeping them from actually getting them is what's going on between their ears. They are unwilling and, in most cases, deaf to the temperature of the room and to understanding that who they sit with, quite literally or even figuratively, is what's holding them back. And you and I have talked about this many times. Who do we play with? What circles do we play in? I don't have a lot of time in my day. Being a full-time mom with a kid that's home all day, running a company that now has 6 full-time employees plus myself, like, this shit's no joke, right? So I don't have a lot of time to spend with people that don't level me up. So what I will say to round the point off is, are they too late? Are they out of time? No, because they already have everything in their heads, they already have all the systems and things in place, but what's missing is what's going on in their head, right? So what do they have to do? And I'll throw it back to you. What do they have to do to become better individuals and to be better humans and to be a better leader or a better business owner? That's the question they need to ask, because money, anybody can go get a loan, right? I mean, let's be honest, right? You can go to the bank and we can get a loan. Can we change what's going on in our minds so that doesn't end up going away? Yeah. Or we end up not taking advantage of it?
I think this is the age-old question. This is why there's so many self-help people in the world. I mean, and we'll bring this back around to, teaching us and giving us some pointers on, what we can do on social. But yeah, the fact is that the huge names that all of us know, Jim Rohn from the past is just someone that I look up to, that he communicated so well. There are Zig Ziglars. There's current day Tony Robbins. There is Eric Thomas. There's all these people that when they stand up in front of a room, they'll write a book, they'll go on tour, they'll stand up in front of the room. Everyone feels good in the moment, right? And you hear people like Gary Vee. He's not really a motivational speaker. He's just sharing with the world these content ideas that helped him change his life from making wine videos to what he is now. And the difficult thing is, you leave that room, you leave that space, you leave listening to that hour conversation on YouTube, and you walk away and you haven't developed the discipline, you don't have the mental tools, there's something that hasn't clicked. And, every day personally, I sit around here and talk to the agents of my real estate company, and unfortunately, I just want them to just listen to me and go and take action with the things I'm talking about. Because wherever you started, the place that you started that started you down this path of saying, hey, I'm going to teach Instagram because I know how to do it better than anyone in the space. I have this marketing company. I'm going to build this platform. You started before you knew any of that stuff. I started in real estate.
I didn't know any of it.
Any of it.
I didn't know any of it.
When I got my real estate license, I lived in an apartment. I didn't own a home. I had never bought a home. No one taught me about contracts. I didn't know any of the real estate things. So there are certain things that are, I think, inside of us that we've developed previous to coming to this life. When you were a collegiate swimmer, the competitive, some things in there. But I want to help the people that didn't naturally have that. But damn it, they have to wake their brain up. They've got to wake their brain up and just take action and quit having all this negative self-talk and these things. And so I don't want it to be a lecture to anyone. I don't want to talk down. I don't want to be condescending. But the fact is, just listen to what Berman-Mikel has to say and go do it. No more training needed. No more conversation. Quit listening to the podcast. Go, you mentioned Phil Treadwell. Like, go watch and see what he's done with his mortgage team. Right? We have a great friend of Kyle Draper. See what he's done. I met so many people in the beginning before they were what they've become now. And it's like, guys, they just took action. And I just sit around these tables with so many people, and I think even the first step is so scary to so many people because they think they need to be totally prepared, totally educated. So that's the challenge with what we do, with what you do in teaching, educating us, with what I do to try to teach and educate. It's like, man, just follow the lead and you'll unlock this financial freedom you want. So that's the thing. It's like, man, go ahead. Yeah.
And if I can piggyback, right?
Yeah.
The thing that we need to do, and the thing that you and I, Mark, have done, and Kyle and Phil Treadwells of the world have done, is we've looked at something that we have no idea how to do, and we've just face planted into it, right? When I started the Instagram Power Method, I had zero idea how to build a course. I had zero idea how to build the technology that goes into that. I had zero idea of how to hire someone when I hired someone the first time. All I did was I just decided, and this is the mental light switch, I just decided I'm going to go do it because there's no better way for me to figure it out than to fail forward.
And then didn't give yourself a back door.
The biggest issue with 97% of people is they feel like there's this barrier. It feels hard to get through. Mm-hmm. And the saying goes, embrace the suck. But again, to my made up number, I would say 97% of people don't know how to embrace the suck because they don't know how to live in that, right? I mean, how many days, and maybe you're not a crier, Mark, but I am. How many days did I sit behind the computer staring at the help button or the call center chat box in Kajabi or any of these other platforms, so overwhelmed by all of it. And I have genuinely sat behind my computer for days at a time crying, knowing like, it's okay. I don't know how to do any of this. I feel really, really pissed off at myself that I don't know what I'm doing. But guess what? I'm going to sit here until I figured out this one thing, because if I can figure out this one thing, then I can move into the next thing.
So why didn't you quit?
And the saying goes, tiny hinges swing big doors, right? Mm-hmm. Can you do the hard things 365 days in a row? Because if you can, the conversation we're going to be having about where you and your business are a year from now is completely different.
Yeah. So why didn't you quit? When you're crying for 3 days, why didn't you just quit?
Again, because I didn't have a back door. Zero. And I have a support system in my husband who is not a quitter. Without getting into the context of who my husband is, he has had a traumatic childhood and a very hard teenage years of his life that ultimately led him to serving in our military at one of the elitist levels in the Army. And he attributes his success in that to getting over his shit. And in order to become that, you have to embrace that space that everybody else is quitting. Everybody else is going to tell you a million reasons why it's okay to not do A, B, and C. And he didn't have that. He didn't have that switch. And I obviously don't either. But when him and I got married and I was building the Instagram Power Method course, I mean, his idea of being supportive was not it's okay, babe. Like, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. You're awesome still. His idea of support was, you're going to sit in that room and figure it out, and I'll bring you lunch and I'll make sure you're drinking coffee and water, but you're not leaving that room until you figured it out, because that's the solution, not quitting. Mm-hmm. Right. So who's your support system? And if your support system is telling you it's okay to soft quit and give yourself the validation of, well, everybody else is quitting. and I'll switch it to this side of it. And I'm getting ready to stop nursing, right? My son's been nursing for almost 14 months and my production is just shit, right? Like it's just totally gone away. And it's hard for me to understand why that's happening to me and to my body. But my husband said something to me the other day. He's like, 98% of moms have already quit by now, right? How many moms do you know that nurse all the way through 14 months of their child's life?
And when he said that one thing,
one of them other than my VP.
So when he said that one thing, that made it all okay, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. So there's more context here. We won't go deep into that. I'm not going to take hours of your day to day because you don't have to. But we just talked about, the people in your life. You started out talking about it. We've touched on it again because there's people out here that don't have a significant other. So then it's like, man, you better have a great best friend. You better have someone in your life that you rely on to pick you up, and are they willing to show up at those times? So there's a whole nother conversation. I think there's this wheel of things to have a successful life you really got to put together. So the Instagram power method. How do you? I'm assuming, I'm going to make an assumption here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming to someone who is disciplined and willing to take action, that's your ideal student. You teach them and they just go and do it. What percentage out of 100 people that sign up for your class are that? Is it 20%? Is it 10%? Is it 5%?
I would say 10, maybe 10.
Okay. All right. So no matter what you teach them, because you could give them just a sampling of what you know, and they're probably going to learn the rest. You can be their spark. How do you connect and help the other 90%?
One of the things that my team and I have tried to do in this process is the 10% that are successful. And here's an example, right? We have over 100 students in our group coaching program, which is a separate side to the Instagram Power Method. And the last month, we've literally had one lady show up to the coaching calls. One.
Out of 100.
And out of 100. That's embarrassing to them, not to me, not to my team and I, because we're going to show up to each one of those calls and bust our butt to support this one individual because she deserves it. She's earned that. And all the other 99, we want to give it to them. But if they're not going to show up to the calls, then how do we support you? And so when I tell my team and when we have our team meetings, one of our jobs is, and most business owners might think differently, but I'm okay with losing business and losing that monthly reoccurring revenue that they have to pay to be part of our group coaching program, knowing that I sent an email to those other 99 people and said, hey guys, we haven't seen you on any of these calls. We can't support you if you don't show up. So as a business owner, making that decision of saying, I'm going to send this email knowing that I probably will lose 10, 15, 20 reoccurring monthly clients that are paying the monthly subscription that is a nice chunk of change for us as an organization, because I can't create change if you don't get your ass behind the Zoom camera. I mean, period. Most business owners, though, would look at that as, well, I need to protect this X amount of dollars that I'm getting reoccurringly every month because I need to make sure it keeps showing up. But you and I both know, and you know me well enough to know that my purpose on this planet is to create and develop change within someone internally. And I can't do that if I can't support you. Or if you don't show up.
So what are they paying on average? Like what would those 100 people be paying per month to you? Like if someone signed up for that same training and they didn't show up, what are they paying you?
Yeah, so it depends. The group coaching, there's 2 1-hour calls every single month. It's either $297 or $197, depending on if they own the course or don't own the course. So if they're in the course itself, they're paying $197 because they've already paid for the program in addition to it. If they are just in coaching without the course, I think it's impossible for them to be as effective anyway that way. But they're paying $297. So on average, reoccurringly on a monthly basis, we're not doing too bad on a reoccurring number basis. But when we sent that email, we lost 12 people in one email. Yeah.
You just know it's going to happen because you've been doing this for so long. So explain that to me, because I think we need to be curious about that, because I'm going to get into here in a minute about, hey, what's this method? Like, give us some tidbits on why Instagram is so important with TikTok and Facebook and all. But why do those 99 people not show up? And let me provide some context so I can try to not just sound ignorant asking the question, because I'd have my opinion if it's in reverse. However, they found you somewhere. They actually found you, and someone convinced them, or their internal self-talk convinced them they need to do this. So they're already in the business. They're either in real estate, they're a realtor, or they're a loan officer, correct? Okay.
Correct.
So because of that, they want to do more business. Then because they want to do more business, they found you and said, wow, okay, this social media thing, Instagram, so many people are here. I think I need to be here. All right, let's do it. They found you somewhere. They saw you in a class. They went online and watched something. They heard you on a podcast. And then they signed up. They bought the course. They didn't. They signed up. And then they all probably showed up. I'm hoping. I'm assuming they showed up to at least a call. I'm hoping. A call.
Depends on the person, but yes.
And then they don't anymore. Why?
The answer that we get more times than not is that they say, I don't feel like I have anything to contribute to the conversation. So therefore I don't need, I don't feel like it's worth me showing up to them. That's what they say. So they're like, well, I don't have any questions right now. I haven't gone through any of the modules right now or in the last week, and I don't feel like I have anything to contribute. I would say that's what we hear 3 out of 4 times.
How disappointing is that?
And it's devastating as somebody who knows that I can create an insane amount of change in this person, not just on what they're doing on Instagram, but literally just how they even think about their business and how they think about their clients and how they think about the conversations and handshakes that they have. And so what I say to them is I say, how many times have you shown up to a conversation or to a meeting or gone to a conference and sat in a room where you didn't necessarily feel like you had anything to contribute? You were more just in the room, but you've walked away with this big brain moment or this big aha thought. And that's why you usually need to show up to the calls, because there's going to be something that somebody says, there's going to be something that I say or my team says that's going to maybe spur a question, maybe create this, hey, I didn't think of it that way idea. And that's the value of the calls. Even if you show up to a call and you're like, I haven't done a single module in the course yet. Well, guess what? That's okay. Because if you sit on the call, you're at least going to hear that other people are doing it and hear how other people are asking questions. And it's going to hopefully, and in theory, create the accountability in you to go make some incremental change. 1% today, 1% tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, to be totally frank, I get mad, honestly, at a lot of them. And I tell them, I say, when I sold you this course, I told you that these calls were the most important thing to pay for, right? Yes, the course itself, you have to pay for that. But these monthly coaching calls, the barrier of entry is not that high. $197 a month. Anybody, for the most part, can afford that if you're doing any semblance of business. And it's not meant to be expensive. It's meant to be an accountability piece. Maybe I need to charge more. Maybe it needs to be $1,000 a month to get people to actually show up. But that hasn't been my business model on purpose, because the people who I feel like can really change the world, quite literally, are the people that are sitting in the middle, not the elite and
I agree.
Not the poor.
I agree with you. And I don't even think it's the 90%. What we found is, unfortunately, I don't care. People can hate me. They can say that it's somewhat negative. It's just facts that what we found, somewhere between 10 and 20% of the people, they don't need me and my team and my company for motivation. They just need us to give them the baseline training, run a great company, watch out for the legal responsibilities, develop a good brand, do all the back-end office things to lead a company so they can go out and just crush sales and build their own brand. That's what they need, because they're just going to wake up every day. And even if they didn't know what the word discipline mean, they literally wake up and they're like a cheetah. It's like, go. Then there's the same percentage on the other complete opposite side that they're never going to do it. I hate it.
No.
They're just not going to do it. And maybe they're using real estate or the mortgage business as a stepping stone. It's unfortunate because it can unlock your life financially, because you truly can earn commensurate with your effort, which is unlike being an employee most places. And so I hate that, but you have to write those people off. And those people don't have a name. right? They're not individuals. We're not giving up on people. Like, they're just not willing to show up even for themselves in life. That middle 60%, man, is where we can make a difference. But something has to happen. We got to be a spark. Something has to happen and change. So what about this Instagram power method? Like, I never use my podcast like as a marketing platform, but I want people on here to talk about their expertise, what you've learned, what you know, because there's a ton of value that you bring. It's amazing to me that you can take one social media platform, Instagram, owned by Meta, right? That you can connect your accounts and what you post on Instagram show up on Facebook and vice versa. No matter how big TikTok becomes, that you could build a tremendous 6-figure business just on Instagram and the things you teach. So enlighten us a little bit.
I will tell you that the Instagram power method, why we're different, what we do differently, and this ties into who I am and who I have become in order to be that. And many people listening to this, if you don't know, you should go look him up, but his name is Grant Wise. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met, but he's loved on me as my business coach for 2.5, almost 3 years. And he has made me cry more often than I'd like to admit, because he exposes what I already know and I'm just not willing to admit. And that's why he's so great at being my coach. But what we do differently is that we understand that this platform, and I say we because I really believe my team is a we, but I personally, when I created the platform, I understood that Instagram is not a trending platform. It's not something that is going to just be cool today and tomorrow it's gone. Clubhouse is a fantastic example of that, right? Clubhouse was awesome. I met Kyle Draper on Clubhouse. Somebody who obviously, as you know, is one of my absolute dearest and closest friends. So I'm grateful for the platform, but I knew when I created a business built off of Instagram that it was a bulletproof platform, that it was going to transcend any industry, up or high or low. I knew it was going to transcend any societal issue, any wars that we may or may not have, which sounds scary, but with what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, it's not that far-fetched. If we're talking about the political climate of what's going on in the White House, or irregardless of what side you're on, the idea behind what I'm saying is that Instagram is going to transcend all of that. And I knew that 8 years ago when I started my company. But so on one hand, intuitively, I knew that this was the right platform. Now, second to that, we're not somebody who's going to show you how to create a trending reel that's going to explode, that's going to get you 5,000 new followers. Because frankly, I don't give a shit. What I care about is, can you use the platform to create relationships that are worth a damn? And do you understand how to create a psychological connection between you and the person on the other end of that post or whatever you just put out? Is that going to move the needle in someone's heart? That sounds really like, whoa, that's a big statement, because it's just Instagram. Michelle's just a picture of my dog. Well, how many people have we met that have posted something on Instagram or posted something on Facebook that has had a caption that we've read, and in our hearts, like, something's moving?
Yep.
And that's what we do, right? The Instagram power method is rooted in creating psychological change, not just for you as the content producer, but as you, or as your person, identifying who your person is and creating content to attract that person so that they can say me too, and they can move, have a heart change alongside you, and ultimately choose you to give their money to when it comes to a real estate transaction or a mortgage transaction.
So what about when I teach the basics in-house, when I train all these new agents that we hire, when I train them, like, hey, the basics of getting out, letting people know who you are, let them know you're in the business. I'm not the expert on these platforms like you are and others are, but what I let them know is, okay, guys, you have to go out here and do this now in our business. But also there's another piece. I don't know if anybody asks this question, because it goes in conjunction with all the social stuff. After they create the relationship you're talking about, the virtual handshake, the connection that makes someone's heart speak, they still have to have the talent and skills when they meet them face to face, that they're still capable of closing them. Have you thought about that?
Oh, absolutely. We have an entire module and an entire portion to what we teach about how to move the meeting, right? So you can have a great relationship built but do you, one, have the confidence in yourself to move the meeting? And two, are you intuitive enough to understand and see when the writing is on the wall that it is time to move the meeting? And then once you do, let's say you and I go meet for coffee and I'm deciding on whether or not, as the buyer, that I want to have you be my agent, can you or do you understand what your value proposition is? And that is a very overused phrase, but it is still very relevant, because can I sit across from you holding a cup of coffee and say, Mark, why would I join Pivot Realty instead of XYZ Realty? Mm-hmm. Why would I choose you? Because truthfully, there's 5,000 of you that I can go decide to hang my license with. So why?
Do I need to give you the sales pitch?
And I will tell you that in my career and in my experience, there is 1 out of every 20 people that have an answer that I would be like, okay, cool. Yeah,
so what is that?
Continue.
So what of the one of 20? I mean, you spoke on confidence, right? There's confidence or self-esteem, but what is it about the 1 in 20? What is it?
Well, it's me and you, right? It's, hey, Michelle, the Instagram Power Method, I've been looking up a whole bunch of other Instagram courses, and I feel like I have an idea of what yours is. I've looked up this one, I've looked up that one. But one thing that makes me more excited about working with the Instagram Power Method is you, Michelle, you were the one that answered the phone. And I'm like, yeah, of course I did, right? Even though as the CEO, I really shouldn't need to. So that's one thing. Secondly, when they talk to me and they ask me that question, why would I choose the Instagram Power Method over XYZ course? I tell them that the Instagram Power Method is an opportunity to psychologically change the way that you create and establish and then maintain your business, right? Because can you, or do you understand that the power of social media is in connection, and that connection creates conversations, and the conversations that we have create conversion. So if you're focused on posting really great content and you forget that half the battle or 3/4 of the battle is engagement, not getting engagement, but freaking giving it. Mm-hmm. If you're missing that understanding or that part in your brain, you will fail. You will call me in 6 months and say, Michelle, I want my money back because I haven't gotten any business. Well, no shit, because I'll ask them one question, and it's one question. It's the exact same question every single time. Do you do 45 comments and 20 story replies on other people's accounts every single day? I have yet to, in 8 years of business, have a single person say yes to me when I ask them that question. In 8 years, I've never given anybody their money back, because I know that if they're not successful, it's because of one thing and one thing only. They are not executing 45-20 every single day. And they're, they're paying great money for great video content. Yeah, they're posting, wonderfully valuable information. They're posting personal content, talking about how much they love honey lavender lattes, but they're not going out and creating genuine virtual relationships where they're seeking new conversations appropriately. And then, the third pillar to that, or the third tier to that, being moving the meeting when it's time to move the meeting.
So what's moving the meeting? What's that mean?
Moving the meeting means, hey, I know we've been chatting back and forth a bunch. I actually am getting ready to create a new series for my Instagram, and I'm curious, would you be willing to jump on Zoom with me just so I can get to know you better as far as being a home buyer or seller? Because I think that some of the things that might be frustrating with you with the market, I think some of my other clients might be interested in. So, hey, what does Monday at 10 a.m. look like for you for a Zoom? Now you're on a Zoom meeting with this person. You're asking for their feedback as to why they haven't bought or sold a house, and you're creating a heart change in them. Because if you do that meeting right, you're exposing the same pain points that every other buyer and seller has right now. And you then actually take action and go make content on it. So that person, when it is time for them to buy or sell a house, who are they going to use?
You just leave me snickering. I was enjoying it. I was in the moment. Sorry. You had.
No, I love it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just sitting here listening.
Moving the meeting is, let's get on a Zoom. Let's go have coffee. Let's take this digital relationship somewhere else. For me, when I moved the meeting with Kyle Draper, I got on my ass on a plane at 13 weeks pregnant and flew to Dallas and said, hey, I need to know you. And he agreed that he needed to know me. The rest is history. But I got on a plane. He picked me up from the airport. we went, we had dinner, and we had a conversation about how for the rest of our careers, we were going to do anything and everything we could to serve each other.
Yep.
And we've done that for going on 3 years.
That's just awesome. It is. And so in this challenging, just so happens we're having this conversation, and realtors and loan officers, I think, are going to bed at night and they're waking up in the morning and they're like, man, what do I do? Well, guess what, you all? This shit's been easy for 3 years, right? It's been really easy, and you've developed some very lazy, unfortunate, and bad habits, thinking that these deals are going to fall out of the sky. So to all the people out here, because there's a lot of them, I think 50 or 60% of the people right now that are in the businesses, I think they're wondering like, oh my gosh, can I survive? Is this going to happen? That's the wrong questions to ask. They shouldn't be asking the questions. The question should be like, what else do I need to do today? That's the question, right? But how do you help them? How do you help them? Not just the lady who her bank account's drained, right? Not just the guy who has his last pending or his last loan just closed and the pipeline's empty. Not all, but what advice do you give them? Because I think they have to survive until March or April. Like, that's what I think, a survival mentality. Yeah. So what do you tell them?
I agree.
Yeah.
I would tell them, and have you ever read High Performance Habits, Mark?
No, I haven't.
Buy yourself the book as soon as we get off of this. Buy it on Amazon. It's like $9. But Brennan Burchard, High Performance Habits, single-handedly the most influential book in my entire career. And I read it right before I started my official launch of selling the Instagram Power Method. So I had done a soft launch. It totally failed. That's a conversation for another time. Relaunched at Black Friday of 2019. Have now done over $1 million in course sales alone since then. So my first launch was an epic fail, 0 out of it. 3 months later, I had read that book and my heart changed. But the answer to your question, what I would tell them is every single day when you make a list of things that you're supposed to do, the one that is at the top of the list, or maybe depending on how you like to write out your list, maybe it's the first thing, maybe it's the last thing, but the one, wherever it is on the list, wherever it falls, the one that you read and you're like, ugh, I know I'm supposed to do that, but I really don't want to do that. That's the only thing you should do that day, period. Everything else on that list can wait, because if every single thing that's on your list, if all you do is the things that you love and all you do is the things that your heart is super like, oh my gosh, this just makes me so happy. If you're just focused on that portion of your list, you will never, ever get to where you want to get to, because the thing that gets left unchecked is the thing that will move the needle in your business the most. When I was building the Instagram Power Method course, creating all of the video content for all of the different modules, I would have rather puked than done that. Like, I was so miserable at the thought of recording 60 plus videos for every single one of the sections of the course, right? I was so excited about the content. I had spent literally months and months and months building all of these presentations for every single module, putting them in order the way that I wanted it to, but I got stuck on creating videos. And what my husband had me do, I love him, but I also secretly hate him with this, is he gave me 4 days. So it was a Thursday, and he said, babe, Monday you're launching no matter what. And you're going to lock yourself in your office and you're going to finish it. You're going to record 60 freaking videos, and you're not coming out of there until you've done at least 15 a day, which is 15 times 4 is 60. So I didn't have a choice, and I did it.
So
and Monday we launched, and the rest is history.
All right. So I have 2 questions here, and they're around topics. It's not, again, I don't always like this to be question and answer stuff, but I want to get some insight on something. How much failure has it taken to get here?
Oh my God, so much. If I listed out all of the failures, I mean, I'm a crier, so I would cry. But what I can tell you about all of the failures for me personally is that every single one of them has taught me more than any success ever had or ever has. The failures, launching a course that I thought was going to make me a millionaire overnight because I knew how good it was an epic fail. And I ended up taking 2 weeks off after that Monday launch, no money coming in. I had no clients, nothing. And my husband says, we're done. We're taking 2 weeks off. You need to mentally decompress from what just happened and understand why you failed. And failure, in my opinion, the best place to discover why you failed is when you're alone and when you're just alone with your thoughts. So I have a new keynote that I've been recently doing as I've been traveling and speaking more lately about the title of it is Head Above Water. And I swam competitively for 20 plus years, swam all through college for Rutgers on scholarship. And I spent a lot of time staring at a black line on the bottom of a pool alone because I swam the mile also. So it was a very long event. We were always the first people in the pool and out of the pool, or the last person out of the pool from practice, because you're training for the longest event that you can do. So it's just like being an Ironman, right? The amount of training that goes into that is a lot more than someone who's running sprint tries. And so I spent so much time alone, not necessarily physically alone, but emotionally and mentally, I was alone with my thoughts. And I always use swimming as an example for me, because in the stillness and in that quiet time, there is so much room for questioning your own thoughts. That's why if you've ever heard anybody say, I do my best thinking in the shower. Mm-hmm. You're not necessarily physically alone, yep. Right? You know, your spouse may be in the other room, whatever, but like you're alone in your thoughts.
What is it about that? Because that's my best thoughts. That's my best thoughts personally.
100%. And everybody. And for me, it was staring at the stupid black line on the bottom of a pool. And so in those 2 weeks after my failed launch, I just went and swam a shit ton. I went to EOS every single day and I swam in a pool alone for at least an hour. No practice. I didn't have anything written down. I just kept swimming. I just swam lap after lap after lap to have a conversation with myself.
Worked a lot of shit.
And at the end of those 2 weeks, I knew exactly what I had done. I knew exactly why I failed. And I knew that there was nobody to blame but myself. So what did I do? I went and I hired someone to teach me how to undo that failure so that when I did relaunch, I was successful. And that person was Phil Treadwell.
Okay. Thank you, Phil. And
yeah.
Are you telling those of us that aren't swimmers to stay in the shower for 2 weeks?
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Find your thing. Some people like to meditate. Some people are big hikers. Maybe you're a walker. Like everybody's got something that they do that makes them them. And maybe you're into powerlifting. Maybe you're Olympic. Like it doesn't matter what you do, but do it alone.
It's time alone.
Like don't go with your boyfriend. Don't go with your husband or your wife. Don't go with your girlfriend. Like go alone, put headphones in, and you'll be shocked at to what actually changes in your brain when you have to be okay being still.
Okay, so the next one. Okay. Yeah. How important is self-confidence to this entire conversation that we've had?
Oof. I'm gonna level with you. Okay. I am a very confident person externally. I feel like I give off a very dominant vibe. My husband likes to say she's a very high D, and that's why I married her. But I have a very strong personality. Bulldoggy is kind of the phrase that a lot of people like to use. And that's wonderful because I know I'm good at what I do. But there are a lot of issues that I have internally with my own confidence and with my own, perception of myself. And this past week I was at, hosting my own private event with, I had a crap ton of people who paid $5,000 to sit in a room with me for 2 days. Like that, what kind of a compliment is that? And I still left upset about how I didn't have as many people in the room as I was praying for. Right. So I still walked away from that thinking it really wasn't that good. So I also have issues with other women and females, right? I swam competitively for an all-female team. So there was a lot of that. And I never really fit in. I was not the person that was invited to parties. I was not the girl that had the boyfriend. My first 2 spouses were horrible to me. And I stayed for a very long time because I didn't have the confidence to get out. So you talk about somebody who externally is a very confident individual. I have my own demons too, right? And postpartum, as you know, Mark, has been very hard for me here in the town that I live in, and you and I have talked about that. So what I can tell you is I have leaned into the relationships of people who really support where I'm going, and what I'm doing with my life. And I'm okay not being okay in those conversations with them. And I think that not being okay in those conversations and creating that vulnerability factor has actually turned my confidence on the external side into something that's more attractive to people, right? So me standing on stage and saying that faith is what I want 2023 to be about, where I stand on every single stage and walk around and tell everybody that why there's a big ass cross on my arm. That is me letting go of internal, or a lack thereof, internal confidence, and exposing it externally, to create something that's stronger. I don't know if that is making sense.
Yeah. So here's what I think. I heard 15-second. So thanks for sharing all that, because that's important. What's funny is for you to be able to sit here and share that without crying doesn't mean it wasn't okay when you did. It means you're getting your shit together internally to live a much better life. I see that. And so what I heard, though, for 15 seconds is it reinforced this idea again about the people around you.
Yeah.
Not just your husband, but mentors, people that came before, people that are sitting willing to listen. And guess what? It's not always fun to be the person to listen to the person that's not confident, but sometimes you have to show up for them because it's not about you. And so this does reinforce this idea. It's one of the segments of the wheel that's really important to find success in life. And so I might dig in on that more. There's a bunch of books written about it, but me operating and running the business, I see there's these 5 or 6 things that if you can put these together, you don't have to be an expert. If you can put them together, it's probably a really good indication that you're going to have some really good financial success in your life, and you're probably going to get a hold of your shit. You're going to get a hold of your stuff. You're going to have an understanding. You're going to be able to get up every day, believe in yourself a little bit enough to get going, and you're going to appreciate the life we're living. So one final thing, because I could sit here and talk to you forever. What I love is, I love that I haven't talked to you a ton, because it gives me an appreciation for the person that you've become. And I'm going to tell you that, and this is not me trying to get a tear out of you, and I don't think you're going to give it, because you're just who you've evolved into. Like, you always put out the idea that you were a badass. You're right. You did. But I knew different. You got your shit together, man. And when I mean your shit together, from a business perspective, the things you're articulating and sharing, it's spot on. And I don't have to understand the Instagram power method. I don't have to understand it. But I bet the team you've put in place, and I don't know any of them, I bet you're operating and leading that team and impacting your clients better than you ever have. So I'm pumped for you, but the people that you're impacting, and I'm excited because I'm sitting here like, oh, she's teaching me some things. This is really good. So kudos to you. I'm not somebody who likes taking accolades well and stuff, but kudos to you for what you're becoming. But can you dig deep into this part of this failure, this lack of confidence, this having a launch and no one showing up and having to swim for 2 days, and maybe overcoming all the obstacles of being a collegiate swimmer and not having friends, all this stuff which led you to become the person you are? Is there a moment that you feel that was your most difficult time, that your back's against the wall, and you had to go all in and do whatever it took, no matter what?
Yeah. There's somebody recently asked me, I was on a podcast called the Beyond Business podcast with Kevin Hoover. If you're not familiar with Kevin Hoover, he's incredible. But he asked me something similar, which were, what are the 3, if I could identify 3 pivotal moments in my career from early on to now, right? And who are those 3? What are the 3? And I won't get into the 3 specifically, but I will tell you, and I don't know if I'm going to be answering your question properly or not, but there was one pivotal moment in my life still to this day that is hard to talk about, but I've openly and freely talked about it lately. Again, getting my own internal shit together and being more confident in the fact that at some point in my life, I was not okay. Which several years ago, I left my fiance not my current husband. I was engaged to be married to somebody, and 80 days before we walked down the aisle, I said no. I said, I'm not doing it. Cost my family almost $50,000, which is how much my wedding was. And we got very little of the money back. And I had retired from CrossFit. So I was swimming competitively for 20 years after college, decided to get into CrossFit, was competing in the CrossFit space at a very high level for about 6 years. And at the end of that, I had 2 herniated discs and a whole shit ton of other issues with people and my own life and just who I was in that place. I didn't like her. And it was the only time in my life, I'm 32. It was the only time in my life where I said, if I died right now, I don't think anybody would notice. And that was a place for me where I was not okay in that, knowing that that was the case, because at that point I had burned every bridge. I had ruined my own relationship with my family. I had ruined every relationship I had with the girlfriends. Obviously didn't have a spouse to be with. And I was okay with the thought of not being around anymore. And in that moment, and I literally have the goosebumps saying this, but in that moment, my why was born, which is that every single day I am going to create change in one person's business. And if I can go to bed every night knowing that I did that for one person, if I impacted one person every day for 365 days, that is 365 people that I know I can go to bed at night knowing that they will remember me. And in that moment, that's what I was living for. Quite literally, that is what I was living for, was knowing that somebody was going to care if I wasn't around anymore.
Well, I think you've impacted.
Berman-Mikel was born.
So thank you for sharing that. I think you found a lot of people that now care. So yeah. Good job building it since then. How long ago was that? How many years ago? Do you mind sharing that?
That was about a little over 4, about
okay.
4.5.
Here's what's incredible. Look at what you've built in 4 years. Mm-hmm. And so no matter where people are, I don't care if you're 50 years old and you're going through some deep, tough shit and you can't figure business out and you're looking down a deep, dark tunnel, at 54, you can have the unlock and build a great life. If you're 60, you can wake up and at 64, you can have a great life. And even deeper, if you're 23 and 25 and 27, by the time you're 30, you can have this incredible life because you've proven it at 32. So, hey, thanks for being you and giving us your time.
Thanks for allowing me to be me.
You kidding me? Come on now, man. This is awesome. I'm pumped about getting this podcast out. So where can, without us sounding too salesy and too promotional, where do they find you and everything? Michelle Berman-Mikel, like what's the best place that they can come find you business wise, follow you personally, all that stuff? Where are you at?
Well, 2 things. Number 1, I'd say go to Instagram. That's, obviously my jam. That's where I put most of all my content out. Berman Media Social is my Instagram handle. So I'm sure you'll be able to put that in the show notes or, whoever is in charge of that for you. The Instagram is the place I answer the most to. I will say if you email me, there's probably 40,000 unread emails in my inbox. No joke. So that's not a good place to start. So Instagram definitely, but the other thing I will tell anybody, and it's honestly the biggest compliment in the world, is Google me. Google Michelle Berman-Mikel. It'll come up everywhere. Hundreds and hundreds of podcast episodes I've been on. They'll probably find our original episode together. But I think that if you Google and you go down the wormhole and that person is who they say they are, you'll notice that and you'll see that across every platform that they consume you on. And I'm very confident that somebody who Googles me would see that.
See, there's the confidence. I think this is the first time on our podcast they're like, just Google me. So I don't know if that's arrogant or confident, but kudos to you, girl. Just Google me. All right. You're like, whatever. That's what I got. So this was seriously awesome. I think it can be tremendously helpful. I hope so many of our agents at the real estate company really jump into this and follow you and who knows, maybe they're going to give you $297 a month, but if they don't show up on that call, you got to let me know.
Oh, I will.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you. You don't get to ask me any questions. That's for other times, and we're going to kick off here. I hope you have a rest of what are we in? We in October? Have a great
Yes,
holiday
we are.
season, Thanksgiving, all those good things. Are you hitting the road anymore? Where are you going to be through the rest of the year? Do you have anything else?
Yeah, this year, not doing any more conferences this year. We have too much going on internally in a good way. So we're focused on building the systems and processes for that. And then next year, I already have conferences that I'll be speaking at in January, February, March, and July. So
Keep doing whatever the hell you're doing, whatever you're building, whatever intensity, whatever discipline you have. So you don't need me to say it, but I'm like, man, this is cool. Just this year since we've talked, or 6 or 8 months, or whenever the last, it's probably a year. This is special. And so whoever you're surrounding yourself with, whatever things you're doing, keep doing it, because the people that are around you, you're gonna seriously positively impact them. And whoever the 6 people that are on your team right now, you're gonna change their lives. There's things that you know now, and that you articulate, and things that you say, you're going to impact some people. I don't know how many people you can impact in a seminar. I don't know. I'm still trying to get that through my head. You know, you can impact them in the power method if you consistently are in front of them. But these people on your team, I actually believe you have a chance to change their life more than any of the people that pay you. So.
Well, and I agree, and it's been special to watch, girls who never thought they'd ever be able to buy a house that are buying houses, and people that never had a savings and now have a save. Like, just, you don't think about how important those things are until it's happening.
So special.
And that's super special. But your comment to me on Instagram, whenever that was, of your Phoenix is rising, literally gave me the chills and made me in that moment just realize that I'm not this person that's standing on all of these huge stages. And, I love Kyle Draper more than anything. And that, and
you've earned it. You've earned it. You can stand there on your own now.
Well, but I think I have that comparison factor of watching him do that and thinking, oh, I'm missing out, or I'm not doing those things. And why are people not booking me to do that? Partially, I don't think enough people know about me.
Yep.
But what I can tell you is, the stages I have stood on, the impact has been wild, to the point where I'm, literally in the middle of negotiating a damn near $1 million contract with a mortgage company in the middle of a recession. So
you pull $1 million now.
One of my specialties, if you will, in business is that everything that I've done, I think 95% of it has been done behind closed doors, sitting in this chair. And I have to let go of feeling like I'm less than, because I'm not on these big NAR stages, or, not getting paid $12,000 to stand in front of a room and talk. Because that's okay.
But what'll happen is
I can make just as
I can
make more money and create more change sitting here than I can there.
I'm just telling you, the person that you are here talking, I know you have to go. The person that you are, companies will give you $1 million. Like, I'm not surprised, and I think there's a lot of people that can be full of shit and be like, yeah, right, okay. No, like, legit, how you're connecting, and it's not even just passion now. You know how passion can be like you're trying to convince yourself, right? That's where passion starts. You actually know this now, and it's convincing at a level that people are like, okay, yeah, she's the person to lead and train our people. Let's give her $1 million because she's going to impact our business. No doubt. I have no doubt that that's the case. And so when I first met you, no. But guess what? That's the shit that we have to go. Like, how many stages do you have to walk on? How many classes do you have to teach? How many people do you have to talk to? That's a part of this failure thing that we just won't accept. So kudos to you. It's awesome. I think you got to go.
I was just gonna say I wanna be at Pivot Realty's event next year and create change.
We're wrapping our head around this. Like, we really are, about what this is going to be, because what's happening now with recruiting, it's no joke. Like, this thing is finally happening.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
But
I want you to say hi to Knox. Hold on.
Let's see him. Well, he's going to probably kick my ass in like 2 years.
Hold on.
Okay.
Micah, are you holding Knox? Oh wait, where is he? Knox Charles, come here. Come say hi. The last time you saw Mark, you were in my belly.
Yes. Yes. Dropping you off. And man, I remember you walking in tonight. I pulled up front and dropped you off at that Embassy Suites. And I'm like, how are her feet even working still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this big guy.
Big is an understatement. Are you kidding me?
That's huge. Oh, baby. That's a whole man right
That's
there.
Incredible. How old is he? Hey, buddy.
Almost 14 months.
Look at that smile. Look at that smile. Hi. How are you? That blonde hair, those blue eyes. He's awesome. Look at that. That's the picture. Look at him. He's awesome. Okay, well, I just saw the best part of you. Guys, we still should have been recording this. Bye. See you guys. Hey, thanks for spending all this time. I'll let you out of here, and have a great rest of the week.
For sure.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
All right, see you, you too.
Let's not talk as little as we have.
Yeah, I get it, but this was special for me. So I'm selfishly, this was special for me because I've seen your growth. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Well, I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll get together. We got to figure out what this is going to be about this event and stuff. So, and one of these days, get you in town here. What we're building with these studios are just, it's sick what's happening. We have a content studio across the hall.
Excited.
It's a 13.5-foot screen behind us. We can change that. We're going to take people from the podcast. We're going to go over there and record more content. It's just neat. It's like we're going to become a media company. Here we go.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot's changed for you, like in the office, even just since I've been there. So I just want to come and
yes,
I would love for you to meet my team and
somehow, some way,
just figure out how. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Tell your team thank you.
Thank you.
All right. If you like these as we start to build our subscriber base, please subscribe, whatever platform it's on. You can find it on the podcast platforms of iTunes and Spotify, but you can also watch the episodes on YouTube. So I hope you all enjoy this.